Meeting to order. Is that Penny? Did you just call in?
I'm in, yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Penny.
Perfect
I want to
timing.
welcome all of you to our board meeting this evening. And if you will, would you please stand and say the pledge with us? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda item 4 is adoption of our agenda. Could I get a motion to adopt tonight's agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
All in favor? And actually, before we do the all in favor, we're going to do a roll call vote on everything this evening, just because we do have 2 people online or on the telephone. That way we know for sure that everyone has voted either affirmative or negatively. So, if we can have a roll call, please.
Let me say my name.
Yes, please.
Dr. Bowen, yes.
Sherry Brown, yes.
Penny Hubble, yes. Annie Mortensen, yes.
And I too, Cindy, is a affirmative. Thank you. So we're going to open up now for our call to the public. Our call to the public is a time for anyone to address the board on issues that they are interested in speaking about. We are going to limit our conversations to 3 minutes this evening. So right now I have 1 paper for call to the public, and that is Joni, is it Rogue?
Yes.
Come on up. If you'll just go to the podium, please, with the microphone.
Okay. I have called and spoken with you about 3 times. And this is about opening the schools up. And I'm starting to realize that, because I've talked to several people, that this isn't just about whether or not you guys want to open the schools up. It's about teachers not wanting to come to school. That's what I was told by the superintendent of Yavapai County. So, but I'm wondering if you guys are looking at everything else that's going on with these kids. Are you guys looking at the percentages of kids that aren't getting fed, or that are in domestic violence situations, the suicide rate, how it's gone up, what the virus has caused for these kids at home? Do you guys have the percentages on that?
So any sort of percentages or anything else, we would defer to our school staff.
No, I'm just saying, you guys make the decisions on whether or not to keep the schools open. And I'm wondering why, I saw you the other night, you're talking about October? Are you kidding me? Are you guys really gonna keep the schools closed till October 19th? How many thousands and thousands of kids you're putting out there? When the numbers are low, the percentages are extremely low for kids to contract the disease or spread it. The numbers in Arizona have gone down 70-some%. And you guys are gonna kick school out till October 19th? Is that what I'm hearing?
So this is an action item this evening that we will be discussing.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like, you gotta be kidding me. I don't have kids anymore in this school. Okay, mine are grown, but I have grandkids in this school. And there's a lot of things that you guys need to take into consideration when you decide to shut the schools down, and these kids have no safe place to come, okay? This is, let me see here. Now, we do know that right now, everything that I've read, that this 2% or less than kids spread the disease or get the disease. They're just not getting it. They just don't get it, and they just don't spread it, okay? They're not finding any proof that that is happening with what we've been going through all of these months, okay? There's very, very few amounts. In the past 2 weeks, I've been contacting the Yavapai Health Department. In the past 2 weeks, we've been at 5%, 5.5%, okay? We were at 7.9, then at 7.3, now we're at 5.5%. And you're the one that told me, we'll open the schools when we know that we've had a couple of weeks where it's less than 7%. That's what you told me. You don't have to explain anything else.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, you did. Let me see, it was Tim Carter is who I talked to. And like I said, is it the problem that we have teachers, we don't have enough teachers? Is that what the problem is?
So we're
That we don't
going,
have, the teachers don't wanna come to school, is that why we're not opening? Cause Shoal did say, well, what am I supposed to tell my 55-year-old teachers when they don't wanna come to school and teach?
so again, it's an item that we're having for discussion this evening.
Well, I'm
and
talking to you
not
right now, I
able
don't have a
to-
moment to talk and ask you these questions?
You can voice your opinions to us,
No, I'm
absolutely.
asking a question.
We're not going to engage in conversation, though.
Oh, you're not?
We are not.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Yeah. All right. So do you guys understand, since everybody's making these decisions on the kids, for the kids, it's basically for the kids, it's not for you guys, it's not for me,
100%.
okay? How come you guys don't understand what the percentages are of these kids, and they are at risk? They are at risk. There's only 40% of the kids that feel safe at home, in the statistics that they've done. The number of students at risk has increased 36.4%, which includes, there's all kinds of things they're gonna get from that. Depression, isolation, instability, hypertension, health problems, and suicide. Suicide has gone up 47.5%.
May I ask where these numbers have come from?
Well, you can
if
find
you're
them, I'm
asking
sure you
us?
can find them. You probably already have them, don't you? You guys are making
Actually, I don't, so
educated
that's why I was
decisions.
just wondering
Oh, okay,
where
yeah.
you got them from.
Okay. One of the things that the nurses are talking about, they were saying that they're seeing 50% in poverty rates, kids coming into the hospital because they're hungry.
Ma'am, you are at 3 minutes. I will give you an additional 1 to finish up, just to sum it all up for us.
Okay. So what I'm wondering is why you guys are not addressing the children's and the children's needs at this time. These don't work. Okay? You've got kids that are having mental problems, you have kids that are committing suicide, there's kids that are at home that aren't getting food every day. There's all kinds of other things that should be included in your decision whether or not to open the school. Keeping it not open until October is ridiculous. You represent Chino Valley, not Prescott, not Paulden, or not Prescott Valley, not Humboldt, not any of these other places. But what I'd like you guys to do, if you could, look at the whole picture and not just what the teachers are saying, okay? We have come a long way when we first closed the doors to everything to get open back up. And I am not the only parent that feels this way.
All
There
right.
is a bunch of us out there. But I'm
Fantastic, and I
maybe
would
the only one
encourage,
that's willing to speak up.
thank you
okay?
for doing that. We do appreciate you
Okay.
giving your
So
opinions.
is there, so what I'm asking you guys to do is consider the fact and look at all the statistics that's going around right now, the damage that it's causing to these kids. These kids are not just at risk. These are risk situations for a lot of these children out there. We live out in rural areas. Are your teachers qualified? Because I understand you're all supposed to be, have gone to classes for kids with suicidal tendencies and stuff like that. It's an Arizona state law. So if they're talking to their kids, do they talk to them? Because I do know this. My grandsons, we live out in the boons. They sent us home with a computer and an internet. It don't work all the time. It took my grandson 2 days to get his homework done.
And those
and
are
then-
things that I would suggest you contact your school and your teachers to try and rectify. Again, your time is up. I appreciate you coming in and
Okay, is there
speaking
someone
with
else
us
gonna speak?
tonight. We're going to find out right now.
Okay, because you're only giving me 3 minutes,
Correct.
and that's pretty rude.
That's actually a policy, so thank you, though.
Well, you need to change the policies, because we have kids out there that are at risk, and you guys need to open these schools up.
Thank you. We really appreciate your comments.
Yeah, if you guys don't do it, it's gonna get horrible for you.
Thank you.
Becca, I don't care what you do.
Thank you for your time. Do we have anyone else that'd like to speak? Would you guys like to speak now? You're more than welcome to.
I want to know what you guys got to say before I say something.
Well, again, this is an action item this evening that we will be hearing some statistics and some information, and then we will be making a decision. Is that okay? Okay. All right, then moving along, we are going to item number 6A, which is student worker positions. And I believe this was supposed to be Mr. Perea, but
And he's
in.
not here. I think we can work it
I
out.
think we can work it
So,
out.
yeah. So, this is actually 2 positions that he is requesting. This would be student workers, one that would work at the Cooper Ag Center, and one that would work as a greenhouse worker. And so they would do things, obviously on the farm and then also in the greenhouse. There are some limitations to the kind of equipment that they could use, and that's all in the job descriptions. Also age, I think they had to be 17 and above, I think is what was decided. So if they're 16 or below, there's some additional restrictions that they have to follow according to state labor law. So the job descriptions are in here. Really, it's a great opportunity for our ag kids to kind of get some additional experience that they could use either in their future career or even going off to college or whatever. They could have these skills that would really help out. And then a big thing is it helps out our staff.
Yeah, Miles is drowning. over
Yeah.
there.
We baled that hay recently on that field that's right on the highway. And, we made some special dispensation to bring some kids in, made sure they did social distancing and things like that. But we do have a farm worker that's an adult that works over there that would be supervising the Cooper Ag Center worker. But that's just not enough labor at times, like when we're baling hay and things like that. So this would be an excellent opportunity for both students to get some experience in ag.
When would this position start?
As soon as they hire them. I think they have an idea of who they'd like to hire.
Okay,
So we were just kind of waiting on the board to approve the positions. That's why we brought it at the special board meeting,
gotcha.
is so that we can get them on board even that much quicker.
And it's being paid for through the CTED grant?
Correct. This was done through 596, which is money that we get from the CTEP.
Fantastic.
And how many hours, or how is that gonna work, how much they work?
I think it's variable, because it would really depend on the student's schedule and school schedule. If they only have 4 or 5 periods, they could work longer, that kind of thing. So I think it also depends on the student.
Great. Well, this is an action item. If we could get a motion.
I'll make a motion for the approval of student worker positions.
Fantastic. And again, we're going to do a roll call if you would say your name and your position on it. Sherry?
Sherry Brown, aye.
Robert Bowen, aye.
Annie Penny?
Annie Hubble, aye. Annie Mortensen, aye.
Thank you. I am not. I'll do it. I'll do it. All right. 6B, CASA mentor positions for the study labs.
So we are requesting 8 positions, and this is really, right now, we wouldn't hire these positions, but we want them available, especially if it's approved to go to hybrid instruction. So what these are, we have a position already in place called a CASA mentor, which is really a daycare provider for our CASA after-school care. These employees would supervise the kids that come into our student study labs, which are the on-site labs that we need to provide, according to the executive order, or one of Governor Ducey's executive orders, a safe place for kids to come and do their at-home learning, and that started yesterday. Yesterday, we had a total of 20 kids in the district. We were able to supervise those kids with existing staff. It's interesting. I expected a ton of kids at the kindergarten level. We had 1 at K2. We had 8 at Del Rio. We had 1 at the middle school. We had 10 at the high school. The school that I thought would have the least had actually the most yesterday. That will increase as people get used to it, turn in the applications and things like that. But this is just, we hope, we don't know, I don't think we're gonna use them, but we have these positions in place in case we do need the extra supervision down the road, and it would be 2 per school, is what we're looking at, and that's why we did 8.
So where are we housing the kids right now?
Well, they are, it's easier because we don't have a whole lot of people on campus, and so at the high school, I think they are in the, one of the ISS, the in-school suspension rooms, and then splitting time also in a computer lab. At Del Rio, they are using the Title I computer lab, I think, is where they're spending a lot of time doing a lot of their work. The idea is also to give them breaks, go outside, socially distance, take the mask off, breathe fresh air. They also get lunch while they're there. So they also go to grab lunch in the cafeteria, that kind of thing. So they are different places, and as we grow, if that program does grow, are gonna have to figure it out. And, you know, we have the libraries that they could go into. We have some limited computer labs, because we took a lot of our mobile labs and are now out into the community that we distributed, the Chromebooks, things like that. I know like at the territorial, they have a computer lab in the library, and that's where the kids are, so, the one kid. Some of the kids that are resource students, I know at the high school actually went into the resource teacher's classroom to get some additional help there.
Great. Questions? Penny or Annie, do you have any questions?
I do not. No, I
Fantastic.
don't either, thank you.
All right, well, this is an action item also, so we will need a motion to approve the CASA mentors. All right, don't speak up at once.
I'll make a motion to add 8 additional temporary CASA mentors positions for supervision of students in the student support labs.
All right, all in favor, go ahead and say aye.
Aye, Robert Owen.
Pen- Penny and Annie both aye?
Sherry, aye.
Fantastic, I'm an aye also. All right, 6C, we're now going to talk about the 50 cent an hour stipend for our student support lab supervisors.
So this is, you know, we have a group of people that are the only ones, well, we have a couple right now, but they are the supervisors of the student support lab. They're actually working with kids and no one else is. And so there's a little bit extra risk there, in that we're asking just for a short period of time to allow a small stipend while this is happening. We expect that stipend to end at the end of the first quarter is the plan or the idea. That's when we think that hopefully by then we'll be in all in-person instruction, and we would no longer have the lab in place.
And when would that be?
If the data proves, you know, continues to go down, it would be at the end of the first quarter,
And that is when?
October. October 8th is the last day of the quarter, then we have fall break, and we come back on the 19th.
So
And so
approximately,
that's when we start back to school full-time?
And we'll talk about that in the next agenda, or like 2 agenda items from now, but that would be the plan, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not missing something.
Yep, nope, that's the recommendation, and we'll kind of, that should be formalized or maybe formalized, and we'll talk a little bit about it more.
and this carries about $1,000 price tag.
Right.
All right, a motion on the floor, or would anyone like to make a motion to have on the floor?
I'll make the motion. We have staff that are supervising students in the student support labs. This is typically beyond their normal work job description under the circumstances. In order to compensate them for their added responsibility, administration is requesting a 50 cents per hour stipend for employees supervising students in the student support labs. This would be retroactive to August 17th this year.
Fantastic, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jerry and
Sure.
Robertson, aye.
Aye.
Both ladies are ayes, thank you. I am an aye also. Gonna forget that one of these times. Okay, personnel report, item 6D. Mr. Scholl?
All right, there's 1 new certified, 1 new classified, 2 new classified subs, 2 resignations, 2 classified changes, and 1 extra duty contract, which is a 0-hour stipend, so the teacher's teaching 7 hours instead of 6.
Got it.
Is how that goes. And again, just since we had you captive, we wanted to get the personnel report taken care of so we can move a little bit further on this.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the personnel report?
No.
The one thing I do want to mention is we lost we had a resignation for a teacher we had a heaven-sent teacher, special ed teacher, kind of come out of the sky and help us out. So we were able to fill that position, which we didn't think we were going to be able to.
That's good.
And that's number 1 on the list right there, which is a special needs teacher. We're
That's
excited about that.
All right, again, action item, we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
for
make a
the-
motion to approve, you want it?
No,
Go ahead.
it's yours, Annie.
You want me to do it?
Yes.
I'll make a motion for approval of the personnel report.
Thank you. All in favor, state your name, please.
Sherry Brown, aye.
Robert Bowen, aye.
Penny Hubble, aye. Annie Mortensen, aye.
And Cindy, I. Thank you very much. Now to item 7. It is our schedule for hybrid and in-person instruction. Mr. Joel.
All right, so, I'm gonna start off by saying, everyone in this room agrees that the best place for kids is at school, bar none. I've not met anyone that doesn't say that the best place for kids, and actually the best place for teachers to teach, in my opinion, for our teachers to teach, is at school. So that is where I wanna put kids. I also wanna put kids and adults and staff in schools safely. And so what happened is on August 6th, the Department of Health Services released benchmarks, which is metrics or data regarding COVID-19 that are to be used by governing boards as a guide, it is a guide, to opening schools. Right now, the benchmarks indicate that there is what's called a moderate risk in Yavapai County. And for those, there is a video that I put online over the weekend, actually it was on Thursday, that kind of explained these and shows you where to get them. You can go to www.azdhs.gov, so azdhs.gov, and there's a button kind of in the middle of the page labeled schools. If you go there, you'll see a map of the state of Arizona. If you scroll down a little bit, click on Yavapai, and the data that I'm looking at is right in that area, and that is for Yavapai County. And so, right now, two of the three benchmarks are in what's called two of the three benchmarks are in what's called moderate range. And those would be hospitalizations, percent of hospitalizations that are COVID related, and also the number of cases are in what's called the moderate range. We have one that I expect to be in the moderate range starting Thursday. The data comes out every Thursday. They are saying that to start school in the moderate range, would like to see 2 weeks of data that shows what's called the PCR test, which I believe is a nasal swab, at 7% positive or less. And we were less than 7% last week. I expect us to be less than 7% this week. On the summary sheet that's in your packet, I think there is actually data for this week, which is August 2nd data. And it's not in there?
Nope.
Okay. It was interesting because I was looking at the data and it was there. Then I looked in the afternoon and it wasn't. So I think they put it on accidentally. But what shows is that the Thursday data should be below 7%, which would put us in the moderate risk range. Now, according to the guidelines on reopening schools, you do have this. What it's saying is moderate risk should be the hybrid delivery model. And I'll explain what the hybrid delivery model is. With moderate risk, there still is some infections going on in the community. So they want kids back in school, but at the same time, they want to limit the number of infections that you might see or that might occur if you brought everybody back. So what the hybrid instruction is, a maximum of half the kids would be on campus at any one time. So we have smaller class sizes. We have smaller less kids on a bus. We're able to socially distance easier. We also would have the at-home learning that we're offering now would be available to those families that wanted to keep their kids at home. So depending on the grade level, kinder, we're finding out not a whole lot of kinder families want to keep their kids at home. And to be honest, it's, that's a tough grade to do online instruction when the kid may not know how to use his or her computer. Where other grade levels and other family situations, they might have immunocompromised, there may be family members that are sick, other things, and it's just best for them to keep their kids at home and continue with the at-home learning that's happening now. But that's a family decision, that's not our decision. We're giving families that choice, what they want to do. And so, according to the metrics that we're looking at, the metrics are saying that, and this came from the state of Arizona, it's not our numbers, it's funneled from the county health department through the state, and the state issues the data, and that's where I pulled the data from, are indicating that we really should be in a hybrid model because we are moderate risk of COVID-19. And so we need to do social distancing, we need to do fewer kids in the classes, fewer kids on the buses. We can't do that if we bring everybody back. I don't know if you've seen some of what's going on in Georgia when they brought kids back. There's spikes in infections, and you know I don't want to put that risk on our kids, and I don't want to put that risk on our parents. And Ms. Roque mentioned that I mentioned I'm concerned about my staff, about our staff. I am. I'm concerned about our kids and our staff and making sure that they are in a safe working environment and a safe learning environment for our kids. And so that's why my recommendation is to go to the hybrid learning starting September 8th. Why so late? It takes time to actually pivot from at-home instruction to in-person instruction. One of the things we're doing today, or I was doing today, along with some other staff, is coming up with a form that would allow parents to indicate do they want to stay at home instruction or they want hybrid instruction. We have to get that information together. We have to make sure that families aren't broken up, so families stay on the same day, whether it be Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday. So there's that thing that's factor that we need to consider and make sure that we keep families together on the same day. That's important. So there's some information that we need to get out, and then we'll have to get back in order for this to happen. And we feel that hopefully that September 8th gives us enough time to do that. That would put us a month on the hybrid instruction. If things go as they're going right now, the hope is that prior to fall break, that the numbers would indicate that we're in a minimal risk, and then we can bring everybody back, and you can see with the minimal risk, we don't have to worry about symptom screening, and that's the green line on there. We don't have to worry about physical distancing, we don't have to worry about cloth face coverings, although we need to be careful because that's not necessarily our decision, that is in the executive order. It says that the state health department needs to determine when health face coverings are no longer needed. Cohorting, which is just basically keeping the kids together and instead of allowing them to go from class to class for different instruction. We can start having the field trips and large gatherings, and then we don't have to close the communal spaces. We don't have to worry about kids eating lunches at different times because we need space, things like that. So if we can move to that minimal level, which I'm hoping would be sometime before fall break, then when we come back from fall break, it's a natural time to come back at in-person instruction.
So that would be based on the numbers at that time?
Correct. What they want to see is they want to see 2 weeks at a certain level. So right now, for example, the percent positive, the moderate range is 5% to 10%. But they don't want you to start at moderate until you're below 7, because they don't want you to basically going in and out of being in school and not in school. So they want you well in that range before you start the hybrid instruction. But then then hopefully it'll be below 5%, below 5% is the minimal range. And right now we're in the 6s. And I think that's doable in the next month and a half to get down to that 5% range. There's also, we need less than 10 cases per 100,000 residents. That is the range for cases. We have about 240,000 residents. That means less than 24 cases a week. And then also the hospitalizations actually look pretty good. They're probably going to be in really good shape well before that. So those are the 3 benchmarks. And you know, I think we're on our way. Things are going down. If things continue as is, I'm optimistic that we'll be in the minimum range by October. But this was quoted in the paper. If you can tell me what COVID's going to look like in a month, I'll tell you what school's going to look like. I'm hoping that this is what school will look like, but I can't guarantee it.
So our benchmarks, we're going off of the Arizona Department of Health Services guidelines, correct?
Correct. So these were in I think a separate executive order, may have been the same one with the face masks. The governor asked the Department of Health Services to establish these benchmarks. They were based on CDC and other research on what are good, what are safe times to bring kids back into school. I think they're using similar benchmarks for the gyms and auditoriums and theaters and things like, and bars that have just come out. I think they use similar ones. They came out this week or early last week, or late last week. So it's something that's not just for schools, but these benchmarks are used across the board just when people come together.
And there would be distant learning on the off days in the hybrid?
Correct.
Okay.
So they would go to school Monday and Wednesday. There'd be some kind of distance learning on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's going to look different for different grade levels. What happens at the high school is going to be hybrid is going to be completely different than what's happening at the elementary schools.
Right. And then the off days that they're not here, the parents still have the right to bring them
Thank
for
you. That
like
was on
the
my list.
CASA mentoring.
The student support labs, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are still available for those kiddos. We can't provide transportation still, and the reason is we don't want kids piling on the bus because we still need to maintain that social distancing. But the student support labs are required by us to still be available on those off days. Basically a safe place for them to come and do their at-home learning if the parents want them to do that.
So in a roundabout way, as of yesterday, our schools were open for children to come to.
Correct.
Okay.
And I know some districts are limiting who can come. We opened it, we did not do that. I do want to say we did open it up, if you recall, you authorized special needs, self-contained special needs classrooms, and they opened up yesterday as well. It was nice to see those kiddos, and part of it is they have small classes and with lots of staff members. So we were able to, be very safe in those areas. We gave them some extra PPE, things like that they requested, but it was really neat to see those kids on campus.
Do you know if any of the parents of the special needs students chose to keep their children at home?
Yes, was it about 25%? Is that what it was?
Yeah, about 20% opted because their kids may be medically fragile, or there
Sure.
may be someone in their home
Yeah.
who's medically fragile.
These are kids that tend to have more medical issues than the average kids, and so it doesn't surprise me. And we're working the best we can to get those kiddos their therapies and things like that. But yeah, there were families that chose to do that.
And I realize Chino Valley is unique. I like to say that a lot in all different aspects. We are unique. However, what are other areas schools doing?
So Humboldt, which is our neighbor to the southeast, they are going to be at-home instruction through until at least fall break. So through at least October 9th. Then Prescott, they have decided to do the identical schedule that we're doing. I don't know if it's been approved or not, but I think they've sent that out to their community, where they would have the hybrid instruction because of the data through October 9th for them. For us, it's October 8th because of the 4-day week. And then their plan is, if the data warrants it, to come back all in-person instruction after fall break.
And do you know, have either of those districts offered the special needs classes to come back also?
I know that Prescott has. I don't know about Humboldt. And everyone is required to do the student support lab or
Right.
equivalent. That's required as part of the governor's executive order, that we have to provide that safe place for kids to come if parents choose to bring them.
Are we still providing lunches to kids right now?
So we
during
have
distance learning?
We have actually, I believe, 4 ways for someone to get lunches.
Okay.
They really cut back on what we're allowed to do once school started. If you recall, over the summer, we were giving out 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches. We did that through bus routes and grab-and-goes at Territorial. Once school started, we switched from the summer feeding program to the National School Lunch Program. And we initially thought it was going to be very much more stringent than it is. They gave us a little bit of leeway, but still not where we'd like to be. We can only give out 4 breakfasts and 4 lunches at a time. We are not able to give out those extra 3 meals, and that's because we go to school 4 days a week, so it's just school weeks or school days. We are allowed to give them all out at the same time. And we're doing that now through grab and goes at 3 schools. Along with, we've split up the community into 3 bus routes. So we have a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday route that covers different parts of the community, of the district. And parents can come to a bus stop and get their 8 meals. Then we also have kiddos that are what we call asynchronous, which is we are actually delivering thumb drives to those kiddos that are at home, but they don't have internet access. They might live out too far, things like that. We're bringing meals there. And then the last way is that we have kids on campus now. We have the special needs kids. We have the student support lab kids. We have some other teacher kids on campus, and those kids can actually get lunches through the cafeteria as well. So that's the 4th way. The big deal is we used to be able to give out lunches to anyone ages 0 to 18 for free. Now that we're in the NSLP, kids have to get free lunch. In order to get free lunch, the families have to qualify for free lunch like they would normally, or they could qualify for reduced lunch, or they have to pay for the meals. And we don't have any choices there. That's required by the changes at the state and federal level on that. We'd love to do free lunch. And there's talk, we signed on to, I think I mentioned last time, signed on to a letter that would, during just this time when things are happening like they are, to offer summer feeding program or the summer food program all year long to everybody that wanted it, but we're not allowed to.
Now, has that usage gone up for applications for the free and reduced?
I don't know if the applications have. I can tell you that the number of meals that people are taking has plummeted.
So I can tell you what we did, and since the question was asked about what we've been doing, do we care about whether kids go hungry or not? Absolutely. Through community donations, we've distributed over 3,000 bags of groceries since COVID started. So just kind of let that sink in. Those are big bags of groceries. So through community donations, we've been able to do that, and through volunteers delivering those right to doors. In fact, as most recently as last Friday. We served over 180,000 meals from the start of COVID until the first day of school, 180,000. So that's a substantial amount. During the device checkout period, our food service liaison was at the device checkout for the days, all 3 days that we did that. And every person who came for devices was funneled through the table for free and reduced lunch applications. And every single household in the district received a free and reduced application in the mail as well during July. So if people hadn't turned it in or, had misplaced it or whatever, they were able to also obtain that in August. So we have done a huge push out for those applications as well. So in regard to food, we have really gone above and beyond with our community partners, especially to make that happen. I know I had conversations today with the people that run our weekend meal program, and as soon as school is operational, whether it's hybrid or whatever we have, they're also mobilized to be able to start sending those extra weekend meal bags home. On September 11th, we will do another over 300 residences that will receive four bags of groceries each on September 11th. So we're still continuing with some of those things. And then I want to touch also on a question that came up, which was about, do we care about kids' mental health? Absolutely. And we have mental health counselors available that are running group sessions, that are doing one-on-one sessions via technology and on phones with kids. And that's been in place since school started as well. So we have, not actually since the 10th, so that day, that first day of online instruction. So counseling staff covers every campus in this district, special needs and gen ed kids, that all those counseling services are available. And we've pushed out suicide hotline numbers and information to our middle school and high school students as well. So I wanted to, since those were issues that were asked, do we care? I've never worked anywhere in 34 years that cares more about kids than here.
Thank you, Cindy. Sherry, any questions?
No, thank you.
Robert?
I think we covered all questions and got.
Penny or Annie, do you have any questions for anyone regarding this?
I know that everyone in that boardroom, now, if you've been following along from the beginning of this, then you're educated with how we feel as a board. And that is that we have the best interest of our students and our staff in mind. And again, I'm a mother of 3 children in our district, and I want my kids back in school. And I know everyone on this board does. I've requested several times for people to be kind. Our staff doesn't need to, there's stuff that's out of our control, and we're doing the best that we can. So that would be the only thing that I have to say about this, is that continue to be kind. There's things that are out of our hands. We're doing the best that we can. We all know that the kids get educated better when they're in person. So we're trying to make that happen.
Thank you, Annie. Penny, do you have anything?
The only thing I have is kudos to Mr. Stoll and the administrative staff who have gone to great lengths to make this as easy and palatable as possible, and for researching it as well as they have. I don't know how it could ever be in better hands. I am completely proud of you guys.
Thank you. All right, this is an action item, and we do need a motion to approve or deny this request. So,
And just so you know, there's
Yes.
another part of the motion on the second page,
Oh,
so that we
thank
don't
you.
forget that.
we would forget that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Would anyone like to make this motion?
I'll make the motion to begin hybrid instruction on September 8th, dependent on all 3 benchmarks remaining in moderate risk range, where half the students would attend Monday and Wednesday, the other half would attend Tuesday, Thursday. Maintain the option of at-home learning for those families that would like their students to continue at home. Families would have an option at the end of each quarter to change their mind. Tentatively schedule the beginning of all in-person instruction for October 19th, dependent on the 3 benchmarks being in the minimal risk range.
All right, again, I'm going to ask for roll call, so if you will say your name and state your position.
Robert Bowen, aye.
Sherry Brown, aye.
Penny Howell, aye.
Annie Mortensen, aye.
Cindy Thomas, aye. That is actually our meeting. However, would you like to address the board at this time? We may not be able to answer any of your questions, but you're more than welcome to voice your opinion. Okay, thank you. With that, have a great evening.
Thank you.